The commander of the Black Annihilation Army, Quan, previously known for his arrogance, experienced a significant downfall as he found himself defeated and pinned to the ground by Xiao Yan. In the previous chapter, Xiao Yan not only uncovered the hidden secret within ancient Emperor Tuoshe of Xun'er, but also made a remarkable revelation. His Xiao family had once been one of the most dominant forces in the Douqi continent, surpassing even the current Glacier Valley. According to Xun'er, Xiao Yan's ancestor, Xiao Xuan, swiftly rose to become one of the most formidable warriors on the continent within a few centuries. This revelation left Xiao Yan astounded, despite mentally preparing himself for such incredible prowess in the expansive Douqi continent. Furthermore, Xiao Xuan had maintained a strong bond with the Gu family during his lifetime, even extending favors to them. Following his passing, Xiao Xuan entrusted the Gu family with the care and protection of the Xiao family's bloodline during critical times. While this alliance proved effective initially after his demise, it gradually lost its significance as the Xiao family declined over time. Upon discovering that Xiao Xuan's final resting place lay within the Gu family's grounds, Xiao Yan's demeanor turned solemn. He made a firm decision to pay his respects when the opportunity presented itself, and even considered transferring his ancestral tomb to the Xiao family to ensure that future generations could honor him daily. Given Xiao Xuan's esteemed reputation within the Gu family, Xiao Yan held the belief that he too would one day attain a similar status. This conviction led him to believe that no one in the Gu family would be able to prevent him from being with Xun'er in the future. At this moment, Xiao Yan's gaze was fixed on Xun'er, and his eyes were involuntarily blazing with emotion. Unable to restrain himself any longer, he pulled Xun'er into his arms and kissed her fervently. Likewise, Xun'er was taken aback by Xiao Yan's sudden bold move, and momentarily lost her composure. By the time she responded, her hands felt unusually weak. At the same time, Xiao Yan's hands, which were roaming around Xun'er's waist, slowly moved upwards. Moments later, he finally touched the softness that sent a wave of ecstasy through him, causing him to momentarily lose all reason. As the saying goes, drought ends with rain at the right time. Just as things were about to escalate between Xiao Yan and Xun'er, an elderly dry cough suddenly echoed from outside the room. Ahem. Miss, I have something to discuss. The sound imbued with powerful Douqi boomed in Xiao Yan and Xun'er's ears like a thunderclap. Xiao Yan finally came back to his senses and looked at Xun'er's embarrassed and angry expression. He could only spread his hands helplessly and say, "It wasn't my fault." Seeing Xiao Yan's depressed look, Xun'er couldn't help but smile despite her flushed face. "You naughty boy trying not to achieve anything good?" Xiao Yan replied, "Who can resist the attractive Xun'er? But just now?" Xun'er interjected, "Don't say that." The redness of her cheeks began to fade, and she bit her red lips lightly, a hint of hesitation flashing in her eyes. "Xiao Yan, my bloodline has not fully awakened yet. We cannot engage in intimate actions. The consequences will be dire. Let us wait until we meet again, okay?" After saying this, Xun'er felt her head spinning slightly because she did not expect her to utter such words. Without waiting for Xiao Yan's response, she quickly left the room. Watching her leaving figure, Xiao Yan muttered under his breath, "This old man definitely knows how to ruin a moment." Outside the room, the two black-robed elders paced back and forth like ants on a scorching frying pan. From their perspective, they would not have interfered if it were just an ordinary couple. But Xun'er, the most complete bloodline holder in the Gu family for 1,000 years, was involved. If she were to submit to Xiao Yan on that day, the Gu family would undoubtedly pursue him relentlessly in their fury. Subsequently, they would also be accused of neglecting their duty to protect her, facing consequences as severe as Xiao Yan's. Just as the two elders were on the verge entering the room, the door suddenly swung open. Witnessing Xun'er's presence, the two black-robed elders experienced a surge of relief, tears almost welling up in their eyes. After all, if those two young individuals had acted impulsively, it would have caused an uproar within the Gu family. Observing their expressions, Xun'er attempted to compose herself and inquired, "Elder Lin, what are you two doing?" The black-robed elder directly asked, "Miss, you didn't engage in anything with Xiao Yan, did you?" Xun'er, blushing deeply at the direct query, retorted, "What nonsense are you thinking?" Upon hearing this, the two elders let out a small sigh of relief. The white-haired elder, observing Xun'er's gradual departure, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and remarked, "It appears that her aura remains unchanged, indicating that nothing transpired." The black-clothed elder concurred. "We arrived just in time. Given Mrs. Temperament, her ears would not have reddened if nothing had occurred. Fortunately, it did not escalate to that point." The white-haired elder sighed. "In truth, if that were the case, both of us would be labeled as traitors to the Gu family." Contemplating Xun'er's significance to the Gu family, even the formidable black-robed elder felt a shiver run down his spine. Casting one final intense glance at Xiao Yan's room, the two elders gradually faded from the entrance. The night's events were undoubtedly the most perilous they had ever encountered in their lives. Meanwhile, within the room, Xiao Yan gradually regained his composure. Following his in-depth conversation with Xun'er, he finally grasped the critical importance of strength. As he gazed at the demonic poison mark on his chest, resembling a dark vortex, Xiao Yan's expression grew more solemn. Previously, he had been worried that enhancing his power too quickly would lead to an unstable foundation, but after mastering the Skyfire 3 mysterious changes, he had gained a better understanding of dealing with higher levels of power. It is time to completely eliminate the demonic poison mark. With this decision in mind, Xiao Yan quickly began controlling the crystal lotus heartfire to improve it. Given his current strength, fully refining the demonic poison mark was not a difficult task. As for the vast and pure Do-Chi contained within him, Xiao Yan's body was able to absorb it completely. Thus, after 3 days of continuous improvement, Xiao Yan successfully broke through to the peak of the 3-star Du Zong. The mark of demonic poison that this old fellow had implanted in Xiao Yan's body all those years ago had now been completely eliminated. If he knew that his poison mark not only failed to take Xiao Yan's life, but also greatly enhanced his strength, he would probably be angry. Feeling the sensation that he was just a hair away from breaking through a 4-star Du Zong, Xiao Yan couldn't help but frown. He underestimated the enormous amount of energy needed to advance by 2 stars. He did not expect that even the demonic poison mark would not be enough for such an exorbitant consumption. If he abandoned the opportunity now, who could predict when another chance to break through would arise? Without hesitation, he retrieved several fire energy-filled medicinal herbs from his storage ring and swiftly refined them with the crystal lotus heart fire, filling the room with a potent and surging energy that pleased Xiao Yan. Empowered by this energy, he calculated that he could successfully attain the 4-star Daozong level. Meanwhile, in the distant sky, a group of individuals riding 4-winged unicorns rapidly approached Yi City. Led by a man standing on the foremost unicorn with his hands clasped behind his back, this man was none other than Ling Quan, the commander of the Black Annihilation Army, who had previously clashed with Xiao Yan at the Inner Academy. Their objective was to escort Miss Xun'er back to the Gu family as per the elders' directives. However, upon discovering Xiao Yan's presence with Xun'er, a flash of disdain flickered in Ling Quan's eyes. "You are a worthless fool. I cautioned you previously to steer clear of Miss Xun'er. It appears I must impart a lesson you will not forget this time." Determined to capture Xiao Yan using the Blood Jade Order, the commander of the Black Annihilation Army, Ling Quan, remained steadfast in his mission despite Xun'er's icy demeanor. "You should depart now, and I will overlook this incident," she remarked. Yet Ling Quan remained resolute, shaking his head slowly and affirming that he was following the clan elder's commands. Upon hearing Xun'er's calm response, Ling Quan's expression shifted, realizing the depth of her anger stemming from the Xiao family's actions. Despite the potential risk of offending her, he was resolute in teaching Xiao Yan a lesson on that day. With a menacing gaze fixed on Xiao Yan, Ling Quan posed a question. Will you comply willingly, or shall I compel you? Xiao Yan retorted, Do you believe it will be as before? Ling Quan sneered, So you have no intention of returning with me to the Gu family? Acknowledging Ling Quan's underlying motives, Xiao Yan nodded with a knowing smile, fully prepared for the impending confrontation. Resolved not to leave without addressing past grievances, he aimed to make Ling Quan aware that the ease with which he had taken Xun'er from him previously was no longer feasible. Intercepting little fairy doctor and Xun'er, Xiao Yan halted their advance and assessed the 10 or so individuals accompanying Ling Quan. While they were formidable, with some even reaching the peak of Du Huang, they did not pose a significant threat to Xiao Yan. Addressing Commander Ling Quan, Xiao Yan inquired, Do you intend to face me one-on-one or as a group? Ling Quan retorted, Do not display arrogance in my presence. Dealing with you alone suffices. Today I shall determine the justification for the Xiao family's impudence. Upon Ling Quan's conclusion, a lightning-charged long spear materialized in his grasp, transforming into a thunderous dragon hurtling towards Xiao Yan. Witnessing this, Xiao Yan wielded his heavy ruler imbued with the power of the crystal lotus heart fire to counter the attack. Ling Quan's demeanor shifted as he experienced the formidable force emanating from the spear, causing his hand to numb. Creating distance between them, Ling Quan hurled the spear towards Xiao Yan with such intensity that it cleaved a dark chasm in its wake. Just as it neared Xiao Yan's chest, a fiery hand intercepted the spear, shattering it with a forceful blow and eliciting a cold smile from Xiao Yan. The rapid spear technique proved futile against the backdrop of his soul power. As Ling Quan swiftly retreated, he swiftly crafted a sequence of energy seals, executing the open mountain seal technique that Xiao Yan was well acquainted with, along with its vulnerabilities. Simultaneously, Xiao Yan activated the initial phase of the Skyfire 3 mysterious changes, elevating his aura to match Ling Quan's level. In an instant, he materialized in front of Ling Quan, delivering a forceful palm strike, declaring, I'll showcase some true Do techniques. Before the seal could be completed, it was abruptly restrained by a fiery hand. Observing the pale-faced Ling Quan, Xiao Yan shook his head and remarked, Your spear technique is ostentatious. Your sealing formation is sluggish, and your Du Qi is lacking. You fall considerably short of my expectations. I have 4 words for you. It's not worth a hit. This turn of events left the dozen or so members of the Black Annihilation Army who trailed Ling Quan utterly astonished. They had not anticipated their leader's humiliating defeat at the hands of Xiao Yan, who seemed to rely solely on his internal Du Qi without resorting to Du techniques. Such prowess would position Xiao Yan among the top 10 of the Gu family's younger generation. Xun'er, standing nearby, remained unfazed by the rapid and intense battle, being well aware of Xiao Yan's capabilities. While Ling Quan had received exceptional training from the Gu family since childhood, his lack of practical combat experience became apparent during the confrontation, despite his formidable aura. Meanwhile, high above in the sky, Ling Quan's countenance paled from the sudden lesson imparted by Xiao Yan. You are merely a spendthrift from the Xiao family. How dare you assess me? Upon concluding his statement, a lightning shield enveloped his body and a sense of bloodlust crept into his eyes. Sensing Ling Quan's surging aura, Xiao Yan swiftly withdrew. 2 elderly figures clad in black, observing the scene, furrowed their brows. Blood transmutation skill? This individual is truly desperate, resorting to such a self-destructive technique. Miss, should we intervene? Xun'er responded, Leave him be. He is only bringing disgrace upon himself. In the sky, Ling Quan clenched his fist, and the blood-stained lightning spear was restored. Witnessing this formidable display, Xiao Yan furrowed his brow slightly. He deduced that Ling Quan's current strength likely equated to that of a 7-star Du Zong. However, in Xiao Yan's estimation, Ling Quan's heightened power was akin to a 4-star Dao Zong at best. Devoid of advanced Du techniques, even a proficient 3-star Dao Zong could endure his assaults for numerous rounds. Xiao Yan's words nearly ignited Ling Quan's fury, Undeterred, Xiao Yan lunged once more with his lightning spear. Leaping forward, Xiao Yan materialized in front of Ling Quan like a specter, startling him. In a state of panic, Ling Quan executed the heart of Ocean's seal, aiming a fierce blow at Xiao Yan's visage. However, the strike missed, sailing over Xiao Yan's head. Simultaneously, Xiao Yan's verdant glowing fist clashed with Ling Quan's wrist. Before a scream could escape Ling Quan's lips, the scorching gust directed towards him induced a cold sweat. Thankfully, the blow enveloped in crystal lotus heart fire was intercepted by the lightning shield enveloping Ling Quan just before reaching his head. Nevertheless, Ling Quan's relief was short-lived as he watched the shield ripple under Xiao Yan's unyielding assault. In a powerful explosion, the shield shattered. Subsequently, Xiao Yan's potent fist landed squarely on Ling Quan's countenance. "Begone!" Blood and shattered teeth sprayed from Ling Quan's mouth as he was propelled hundreds of meters backward. Observing Ling Quan writhing in agony amidst the debris, Xiao Yan swiftly grasped his neck. A slight exertion of force would suffice to terminate the life of the haughty commander of the Black Annihilation Army who had sought to dominate him. Xiao Yan remarked, "Commander Ling Quan, does the Xiao family now possess the credentials to assess you?"